Urge Surfer, you have a new release, September 30th, Misnomers. How did that come together?
Well, I mean, Chelsea and I are constantly sending stuff back and forth, and have been for the past, what, 4 years or so.
Yeah.
But this year we've kind of like slowed down our output a little bit with just life stuff, um, other music stuff, and the political world is also like a drain on energy. Um, but in the last year, we've still sent stuff back and forth, and um, these are the songs that felt like they fit together and made thematic sense, if not necessarily obvious sonic sense.
Yeah, we were kind of thinking about working on a record, like a full-length record. And so we were slowly chipping away at that. And then, like Jordan said, the motivation wasn't as consistent throughout the year as it has been in the past. But then this summer, we were talking about, we always take photos and stuff for Urge Surfer every summer, it seems like. And so we were thinking about taking new photos and was like, you know what? Why don't we revisit those few songs that we did finish? And we thought that they worked together.
Did
So
you do a photo shoot at Seneca One? Is that where that was? Okay.
yeah.
I was like, I saw the photo in the release. I was like, I recognize that.
We were
Uh,
trying to find like a, I really wanted this sense of like being in liminal spaces because all of the photos that we've taken have been in like nature settings,
yeah.
and I really felt like we should switch it up visually. And I thought about going in Seneca one, but we were not sure if we would be allowed to do that. And
That's
we had inquired of with a couple other places, and they were like wanting to charge us money. So we just went in Seneca one, and the security guards did not bother us at all. So
It won out.
Now I listened to this new release and um, I found so like you said, Jordan, it's all very like cohesive, but at the same time, Public Exits has kind of a different, like even more like electronic sound than the other two songs. How did that come about? How did I guess when you're writing these songs, not necessarily the lyrics, but more the music to it, what goes into deciding how it's going to sound.
that's a great question. I don't know. My music writing practice is kind of all over the place. Like I play music alone usually every day, at least for a period of time. And sometimes I will just play guitar and that will be it. Uh,
Hmm.
or sometimes I'll sit down and fiddle with a drum machine and just see how it goes. But with Public Exits, it was like, I don't know, one of those mornings I woke up and I felt super motivated and I really wanted to like have a complete thought. Sometimes when I'm doing music stuff, it's more of just like a meditative practice. So I don't really go in with the idea that whatever happens will become something.
Hmm.
It's much more of a like, I need this to feel better about the day. And sometimes it's more than that. And in this case, it was more, I really felt like um, that particular day, I actually was doing another interview and I needed to be on time for that. So I had like a small window of time where we were going to work on something. And I don't know, I sat down in front of my synth and that's what came out. Whereas like the other two songs we wrote so differently, where Public Exits was written in this kind of same way that we wrote a lot of the previous material, where I would basically write something with my synth, and then send it to Chelsea, and then she would send something back.
Hmm.
But the other two songs, that's not how it really went. so that's probably why it sounds so different from the other two in this case.
Hmm.
Yeah, it was a little bit different, but well, what's cool about all three is that I feel like each of them has somewhat of a different element than the last two releases. It was like for Public Exits, not that on the last release there were some lyrics by Jordan as well, but on Public Exits it's pretty much all of Jordan's
Hmm.
words. And then with A Line, that was once again you made up the musical track on that like Wurlitzer
Mhm.
app or whatever, and then sent it my way. But Jordan had titled the track A Line, and so that's how the lyrical idea came out from my end. And sometimes it works that way. Sometimes Jordan titles the track, and then I'll take a lyrical idea from that, or I just have like an independent poem or something I've written.
Hmm.
Um,
Weird.
Responsible. Oh, what were you
I
gonna
was
say?
just gonna say, weirdly, there's been like a bunch of those.
Yeah, yeah, there have been. I know I'd have to like go back to reflect on which ones are which, but it's really confusing when I change the title and then we're trying to figure out which one it was. But with Responsible, it was a little different because I had come up with the acoustic guitar picking and the lyrics and the melody or whatever, and I sent it to Jordan, but it was just with this like garage band, very standard BPM, like 4/4 beat behind it.
Hmm.
And then she asked me to take that out, and then she filled it in with like the synth noises and the different drum beat and stuff. And I really felt like that kind of made it into what it was. So yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
a little bit of a different process.
And then you came over like immediately, like the next day, and we
Yeah,
recorded like
bass
bass guitar and some more electric guitar parts for it. Uh,
and vocals. I think it was pretty much all done within like 48 hours, minus Sheena Azella's contribution. Yeah.
And that was actually going to be my next question. How did Sheena's like feature come to be?
so, Sheena's been living in DC for the last like decade, and
Hmm.
then last year she moved back to Buffalo, and kind of just happened that our social circles just kind of started to overlap. Um, my wife is one of the owners of Bread Hive, and Sheena started working there.
Hmm.
And Chelsea and I like have both been Lemuria fans for a long time. Um, and yeah, when she started working there, I was kind of like, this is so bizarre to me. But I feel like it's a sign from the universe that we should inquire if she'd be open to it.
Hmm.
And just by happenstance, she said yeah. Um,
Yeah, it was really cool. It's like Jordan said, like we've both been, I mean, separately. It's not like we knew each other at the time, but like when I was in college, Lemuria was like one of my, I mean, still like one of my absolute favorite bands. And I'm sure there were plenty of times where we were perhaps at the same show
mhm.
at the same time. So it was really neat to be able to have somebody who you look up to musically, like to collaborate.
Yeah. And for me, it was really cool. I mean, we do everything at my house for the most part as far as production goes.
Hmm.
Um, and so to have Sheena like come over and record in the space that we make music in was like really special. And then like producing the track with the vocals was really fun because Chelsea and Sheena's voices are so complementary. They're so like radically different from one another. And so it was really fun getting to blend them and see how they fit together in a mix.
Hmm.
And I think it came out really good.
I think so too. I thought it sounded fantastic. Like the whole project I thought was awesome. So
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Adam.
yeah. And I guess you also mentioned in your email, Chelsea, when you reached out, you released this through your two independent labels. What does that mean to the two of you?
Well, for my label for Angry Girl Music, it's the second release, which is cool. And I think what's fun is that so we did two different physical versions of this EP. One was on lathe cut vinyl, which we did through a very small business called Audio Geography.
Mhm.
Um, and so that is that catalog number is on the big of vinyl. label. And then for the CDs, which I actually just made at home, I burned discs and then I created some hand-drawn covers that has an Angry Girl music catalog number. So I think it's just kind of cool that we have the ability to like be independent and meld those two entities together. And it's I don't know. I think that's kind of the future of music, to be honest with you. Not even kind of the future of music. I think it is the future of music. I feel like we're seeing so many major artists right now who are either like letting their contracts run out and then starting their own labels, or they're just independently doing things or buying back their masters. And I just think that's the era that we are in and have been
Mm.
heading toward for a long time.
Yeah. It's weird for me, like kind of reviving Vega vinyl because it was a thing that I did like a decade ago where I had stopped playing music in bands and I wanted to be still involved in the music community and I was really into record collecting at the time. And there was just so many records that I loved by bands that I loved that were active in the scene at the time, but like hadn't gotten their music put on vinyl just because of the cost.
Mhm. Right.
Um, and so I just started like asking people if they would be interested in like putting out like super high quality releases with me, basically. And yeah, I did that for a number of years, and then I stopped because of the costs and because I became a librarian, and it was taking up more time than I had. Um, but it's something that I like. I'm really proud of having done.
Mm.
And when we started putting out music again, it just kind of made sense to us. Like we need a place to put it out, and this already exists, so why not just use it?
Right. Yeah, that makes sense. For people who may not know what Urge Surfer is, but are familiar with Stress Dolls, what, I guess, both of you being in Stress Dolls, what made you want to start this project as well?
I think it really didn't have anything to do with like I think that's the funny thing is like neither of us have ever viewed this as like being some sort of contingent thing to stress dolls. Like I think it's just like I happened to ask Jordan to like play guitar on one of my releases, and that's how we kind of reconnected. We had worked together at the Buffalo Library years ago when I was still there. So that's how we knew each other. And then I noticed Jordan playing guitar on social media, and I was like, oh, I really love the way she plays. Like, I would love it if she plays on my next release. So anyway, so then like, and then we were going to play live together, for a full band version of Stressed Out. So that was the connection. But then when we started writing together, it was just kind of like Jordan sharing music she had come up with and being like, would you be interested in trying to collaborate on this? And I never viewed it as like, oh, we're both in stress cells and this is like a side thing that it's just kind of like we just started doing stuff. And then when it became like, wow, we're writing a lot, like, I mean, we've written so much more than what we've released. It's like insane. And I don't know if all of it will ever see the light of day, but like we just have written a lot. And it suddenly, not suddenly, but in time, it became like, well, we should probably name this thing and maybe put stuff out there because we're just creating so many cool things that we want to share with people. Um, so I think that Urge Surfer exists very independently from Stress Dolls. And
Yeah.
it's a pleasure that we get to like play music together in two very different outlets, but in my mind I don't exactly relate the two. I think if anything right now the only way that they're relative to each other is that now I have this independent label and I I have them both like associated with that, but
Mm.
like I don't know. Like aside from like social media sharing, just because like I've been doing the stress house thing now for like 10 years. And so it's like obviously with I want to be able to share the Urge Surfer stuff on as wide, to as many people as possible. But like, I don't know, how do you see it?
I mean, they're so different. They're both musical projects, but beyond that, they're like the creative process of making the music is so different than how you write stress style stuff.
Yeah.
Um, And the whole intention behind the project itself, like you said, was not to like actually be a band or something. It was like the whole goal behind the project was to make music and have it be completely untethered from all the stresses of the rest of music making. When so things like promotion
Right.
and booking and all the stuff like that that goes into it. We were really trying to just like make music untethered from that. And I think for the most part, that has basically been true of the project. And so that's how I kind of think of it. Um, but I am also not like the primary songwriter of Stress Stolen, so it's very different for me.
Yeah, yeah, I was pushing it as far as it can go just to see what happens.
Mhm.
Not saying that Urge Surfer like can't be, but
They're just so
we
different.
just use it very, yeah, in a different way.
And like I said, I think for me, it like always comes back to like music making is something that I do as a de-stressing activity. And so I really kind of center that as like an intention behind the creative project that is or surfer.
So, Chelsea, you mentioned picking a name for Urge Surfer. How did you two pick a name?
That was kind of from Jordan because it was like a therapy term, right?
Yeah, so I during the pandemic, I I started going to therapy and I was diagnosed with OCD and I learned of the term urge surfing because it's basically a form of therapy where you're trying to ride out a basically an unwanted feeling that you're having. Um, and they call it urge surfing. And I was so struck by that term because it has this kind of like silly connotation with the word surfing in it.
Right.
Um, but it really actually has to do with a very serious feeling where you're experiencing something really unpleasant and you can't really do anything about it except for just to get through it.
Mhm.
Um, and at the time during the pandemic period where we were all just at home, I was really like playing so much music again as like a form of like therapy. Um, and I really felt like all this music making was a form of urge surfing for me, where it was like I'm using music as this conduit to feeling better.
Hmm.
Um, and yeah, I just really liked it as both a phrase and how it has this personal connotation for me. And it also feels like playful and kind of just fun to say as
And
like
no
a
one else had
word.
it.
Yeah, no one else had it, which is like a rare thing when it
That's
comes
always
to
like,
band
as
names.
I say, that's the number one thing when it comes to naming a band. It's like, does anyone else have this? Okay, great.
So for all those reasons, I think we ended up sticking with it. Um, we talked a little bit about it, and I don't know, it stuck.
Mhm. Yeah.
Nice.
And I like it.
Yeah, I think it's a great
Can,
name. And like you said, it sounds playful even if it is something serious. And I like
yeah.
and the way you use music and I don't know. I the whole thing is very cohesive and I really like that about it. And you would never know just
Well,
based
thank you so much.
on yeah, of course. But like you would never know just based on like I don't know. I don't know. I hear the name and I just like you said, it sounds like somebody just surfing. So,
And I think also with every release, like Jordans usually have a very clear thought process as far as like an aesthetic, for
Mhm.
lack of a better way of putting it. Like it's, like not like in a like how we look way or a shallow way. I just mean like
Yeah.
as far as like color choices and stuff and like the overall vibe of um of the release and like then thus how we're structuring. We work with an artist, Sarah Jane Berry. She's done the artwork for every release. And
Mhm.
so kind of to give her something to go off of. Or the first release was just a piece she had already made that we both really liked. But the second
mm,
release, she specifically made artwork for it. And then the third was sort of that she was kind of making some art and none of it was totally connecting. And then she already had a piece, right? That
Mhm.
then like just happened to match with the colors that we were thinking of. And so it just seemed serendipitous. And yeah, I don't know.
I think it's important to have like a well thought out uh, aesthetic, if there's not a better word for that, as you said, uh, when it comes to a project like this, because it is like as much as it is fun, it is also serious for us.
you mentioned working with Sarah Jean Berry and obviously Shino Ozella on this project. What is the importance to you of like, working with women, especially in the rock scene? A couple weeks ago, I did an interview with Jess Novak, who started a, women's festival in Rochester. Um,
I know Jeff.
just Rochester, or Syracuse. Shit.
Syracuse. I played
Syracuse.
it
Yes.
festival.
Yep.
Yeah.
But I guess, and she spoke to the idea that it's a very male dominated space. Um, so I guess what is the importance of that?
I thought what was really cool about this release that we both recognized once we had kind of like wrapped everything up was that every single aspect was all women. Like everyone worked on it was a woman. It was like we had Sheena as a guest vocal. We had Jacqueline, how do you say her last name? Is it Siga?
Siga.
Jacqueline Siga took the promo photos. And then, like we said, Sarah did the artwork, and then us. So, like, everybody involved this time around was feminine, which is
Yeah,
I don't know, which I think kind of rules. Like, and
it's definitely not the most common thing.
yeah, and actually now being involved in the Western New York and Buffalo music scene for like over 10 years, and I mean, there's people who have been involved for a lot longer than I have, but just like from what I've seen of how it's developed, I think it's encouraging that we're at a point right now where I see more and more like, femme and women like involved within rock music specifically.
Yeah.
Just like when I started playing out, I felt like most of the time I was the only woman
Hmm.
on the bill, like the only like female musician, like even at the bar. And now it doesn't feel that way to me anymore. Like I actually feel like we play quite a few shows
Yeah.
with like, trans women and cis women and I don't know. So that's cool.
We were when Sheena was over here, we were talking about how like when we were younger, we looked up to Sheena because Sheena was like the only girl playing rock music that we knew.
Hmm.
Like, and we didn't know her personally. We just were like, wow, Sheena's fucking awesome.
Yeah, and from Buffalo. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
hometown
Right.
and like one of the only people that we knew that was a woman fronting a band playing guitar. Um, yeah, so in the same kind of sense, like it really felt right for Sheena to be involved in this way. Um, but yeah, it means a lot to me.
Mhm. Yeah, to uplift. I think in general with the local music community, at the end of the day, the goal should be for everyone to be lifting each other
Hmm.
up. I think things die a pretty swift death when everyone's focusing on the competitive nature that, I just think that's such a waste of time.
Absolutely.
Like, I don't know. Yeah, at the end of the day, we all just kind of are artists who want to be to an extent recognized and seen, and we all understand that like within each other. So I think just having that support system is really important. And I feel like I feel that in the Western New York music
For
community.
sure.
I do.
I
Yeah.
mean, we like you said, we've played so many shows with like super mixed bills.
Mhm.
Um, and we've become friendly. We're straight up friends with so many local women musicians just because we've played with them a bunch.
Yeah,
Like we've done like guest spots in their sets, or you've done that. They've like sung along with us in sets.
that's true. Now I'm trying to think of when those times have been.
I'm
Just blinking.
thinking with like the Grosh Girls.
Yes. Oh, yes, definitely. Yeah.
Um,
With Crash.
we've played a bunch of shows with like Velvet Bethany
Yeah.
and uh Tuesday Night and so many local bands.
Yeah. True. Don't mind me. My memory is that of a goldfish
No,
lately.
it's
So
okay.
that's I can't keep hold of anything. I'm like, yeah, that sounds great. When was that? What was that?
I mean, we just played Dayfest, which is like that's
That
the
was,
whole
yeah,
thing.
yeah, that was awesome.
So many good bands from Rochester that we've been friendly with.
Hmm. Chores comes to mind.
Yeah.
Yeah, love chores.
Well, that's awesome. Thank you both again for taking the time today. That's all I have, unless you have anything you'd like to add that I haven't asked.
Mm, no, I think I've yapped enough. Do you have anything? Anything else to
Really.
say?
I just want to say thank you for checking it out and giving us the time of day.
Yeah, anytime.
It's hard to get people to pay attention.
Yeah, thanks, Adam.
Thank you both again. Really
Cool.
appreciate it.